Now, in the last few minutes, reports from the Syrian state media say a car bomb has blown up in a suburb of Damascus, killing 18 people and injuring 56. And the Syrian conflict is causing more misery beyond the country's borders, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes in search of refuge abroad. Many have ended up in the world's second largest refugee camp, where, according to the UN, women are at risk and children are recruited as fighters. The Zaatari camp in Jordan has expanded rapidly from just a few tents in September last year to a sprawling city of 27,000 makeshift shelters. It's now the country's fourth largest city. More than half its occupants are children, and as our international editor Lindsey Hilsum discovered, many are traumatised and at risk of exploitation by gangs. She spent 24 hours with the camp's director, seeing at first hand the human cost of Syria's civil war.
It's Ramadan, and dusk is falling over the biggest refugee camp in the Middle East. A year ago, this was a dusty patch of desert. Today, it's home to 120,000 people. I'm with Kilian Kleinschmidt, the man who's trying to turn chaos into order.
Well, you're seeing here this cable, which is pulled by somebody who has been selling it to the people in this area, because they technically don't have electricity.
The camp has grown more quickly than the UN's capacity to connect all the tents and trailers. They have no idea what the bill's going to be. So now he's put in a new transformer and got the bootleg engineers to protect it. The guys who were doing all these things illegally, you're getting them on your side?
We're getting them on the side because we're not saying stop it. We're saying let's work together in improving it.
Bright lights. Almost big city.
They call this the Champs-Élysées. The goods on sale might be a bit different, but the point is that this is a street in what increasingly looks like a town. In the last couple of months, Zaatari has taken on an air of permanence. The Syrians here might not want to admit it, but they know. They're not going back tomorrow or next week, not next year either.
Because in the winter, this will all get muddy and full with...
horrible.
Walking around, we came across a group of 16-year-old girls. They told me they hated life in Zaatari, but had no hope of going home to Daraa in Syria.
What can we do? Assad is still going strong.
The boys, like boys everywhere, were playing shoot-'em-up computer games. But for them, violence isn't abstract. In fact, they see this as practice.
These kids were bombed and saw battles and destruction, so ideas began to develop in their minds. They started dreaming of becoming part of the resistance, of fighting and defending their country.
Friday, Saturday, I'm in Amman usually.
Kilian is talking to the elders. Now it's dark, they've broken the Ramadan fast.
Yeah, but I would like to do more, and we can do more. But we need to work together more.
They complain to him about water pollution, although on occasion refugees have smuggled out mud-covered stolen tents inside the tankers. It's not always easy to build trust. Early morning and the bread van arrives. Bread's distributed for free, but now bakeries are springing up in the camp. It's usually the children's job to collect the family supply. There are 60,000 kids in the camp. Only a quarter of them go to school. They roam around, chucking stones.
When you want to be happy, what do you do?
A project to help children reconnect with their emotions. War and exile have robbed them of all sense of risk, for themselves or anyone else.
These children have lived for a particularly long time in levels of stress that are incredibly profound. So when that happens, there's a part of your brain that goes, you've experienced too much. and it's like a SIM card in a phone. It turns itself off. You go into survivor mode.
As if to prove the point, one lobbed a stone at the aid workers' vehicle as they left. Water is a scarce resource in the camp, but the kids aren't worried. Dusk is falling again. For the children, the years stretch ahead in a camp that became a town in the desert in Jordan. Soon Syria will be just a dream.
While we were in the camp at night, we could hear the sound of shelling on the border. That was about 30 kilometers away. And I'm told that there are refugees being held there. It's not quite clear why they're not being allowed to cross, and we don't know how many they are and what condition they're in. But I think also spare a thought for Jordan and the Jordanians. This is a country of 6 million people. Now, there are now 500,000 Syrian refugees here. There are 1 million Iraqis from wars there. 30% of the population is Palestinians from 1948 and 67. This is the country of refugees with very little water, little infrastructure. It's struggling to cope. That's another impact of the war in Syria.
Lindsey Hilsum.